Battlefield 6 Season 1 is here tomorrow, and there's a bunch of updates, changes, and fixes coming with patch 1.1.1.0, and I'm going to go through a lot of these so you don't have to, because let me tell you, there's a metric shit ton of fixes coming. I'm going to put out the most important ones that I can see. If you want to go through this in detail, I'll have it linked in the description below. Go ahead and check it out. Alright, starting off with progression, this is everyone's favorite topic. So obviously they've been working on how much XP people are earning and all of that on the back end, but what I'm excited for is they're finally addressing some of these challenges. The first one in particular is Class Assignment Assault 1, right? This is the one where you have to get kills while using the adrenaline injector. It's going from 30 kills down to 3. Pretty substantial hit there. I think that's pretty awesome, just because I think the whole mechanic is somewhat glitched, because you hit yourself with the adrenaline and you had like 1.5 seconds to get the kill immediately, or else it wouldn't register. Also, I'm never a fan of locking parts of the kit behind a challenge like this. They should have had deploy beacon from the rip. I think a lot of people have been saying, hey, assault is kind of useless, and that's because of maybe a good chunk of people aren't using the full kit. Anyway, moving on to the next class assignment. This was for Engineer Expert 3, repair vehicles in a match. They wanted 6,000 repair points. Now that's down to 1,000. And let me put this into perspective. I've seen people complete this. We're talking almost an hour of non-stop butane torch, map torch repairs in a lobby to try to get 6,000. We're talking someone's destroying the vehicle, someone's repairing the vehicle to get that done in one match. It's almost next to impossible to do in a real lobby. I'm very glad to see this kind of coming into a real perspective where people can accomplish this challenge. Now the next one, I think a lot of people saw the next one like, nah, this is bullshit. I think this is the one people really complained about. Deadeye 2. Get headshot kills over 200 meters with sniper rifles. They wanted you to get 150 kills to unlock the PSR. Well, it's no longer 150. It's going down to 5. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a massive drop in getting that challenge done. I know some people who did it legitimately are going to be like, what the hell? But I mean, I think we all saw this coming. The maps are just so small. And again, I'm not trying to complain here, but outside like Firestorm, there's not many maps where you can get consistent amount of kills like this. So it would have taken a really long time to farm, and I'm happy to see this change. But it looks like in addition to that, they're going to be reducing the damage distance, right? So instead of being 200 meters, it's probably going to go down to like 150, 100, but it won't be in this patch. It will be in a later game update. Now moving on to weapon dispersion, I think there's going to be a lot of controversy here as our good old 3-letter friends, the SMGs, are headed for a nerf. In DICE's own words, they want to ensure each weapon's accuracy better reflects its intended performance over range. I think that's a pretty key phrase there, as I don't think it was ever intended for a 9mm SMG to be beaming people at 100 meters. Now, I don't know the exact way that they're going to implement this, but it sounds like maybe some more bloom, probably some damage drop-off, and maybe some visual recoil. I think they're going to make SMGs and some of the faster firing carbines into medium type weapons where you're not really going to be engaging at range, which is going to make some of the other weapons more viable, which I'm a fan of. I think we all expected this to come. I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anyone, but yeah, it looks like they're going to be doing a first pass of weapon balancing. Player movement. This is going to get divisive. I'm going to get a little bit spicy, so join me on this journey as I explain to you DICE/EA's mentality on these patch notes. When you get past some of this marketing jargon, you're going to see this hidden message, and I'm going to walk you through it. So they're saying we want to maintain the core feel of the launch experience. Okay, that's not bad. They want to deliver a smoother and more precise aiming experience. I think we can all get behind that. They are enhancing sight stability. Okay, that's good. And they're doing so by minimizing reticle movement during specific animations. Now, you might be thinking that's innocent enough. Well, let me tell you what this actually says. We are going to remove ADS sway from jump peaking to enable higher tier movement mechanics to make the gameplay even faster in Battlefield 6. So you think I'm over-exaggerating or reading into it? Well, just check out the changelog right here. Fixed an issue where jump inaccuracy could linger too long after landing. Boom! They're saying the ADS sway was unintentional, and we're going to scale that back. So now they've re-enabled jump peaking, and this is not all. They're going to be removing the penalty from post-sprint firing. Essentially how this works is when you're running around and you ADS, you'd have a little bit of inaccuracy, right? Some bloom, some dispersion. Apparently that that was unintended. I thought it was part of the game. So now you're going to be able to beam targets even faster. There's no real incentive to slow down before you engage. And honestly, if you read these patch notes, you look at the updates, the fixes, the changelog, there's a bunch of things where they're fixing animations, making things smoother, more efficient, and in turn making the gameplay faster. They're going to be doing a lot of transition speed differences between prone, crouch, standing, and running, so I can definitely see this impacting the game. Now, visibility and lighting, I know a lot of people have been complaining about this. If you haven't been running an HDR monitor or an HDR TV, anytime you go inside of a building, you look out a window, bam, you'd freaking get flashbanged by the sun. All of the bloom in that transition, the exposure transition, just the haziness, the overall difficulty in target acquisition, well, they're going to be toning that down. It looks like there's a big focus here on improving overall visibility, so a lot of the smoke that you've seen that's been persistent so you can't actually see through it, that's going to be going away. They're going to be fixing, like I said, the exposure transitions between going indoors and outdoors, so you'll actually have better visibility. They're also going to fix on some internal visibility. When you're inside of a building, though, there are places where shadows can hide people. They're going to make it a little bit easier to see there. So overall, a lot of fixes coming to lighting and visibility overall. Can't wait to see how this improves the gameplay. Alright, so to wrap it up, I'm just going to touch base on some of the other things that I think are really important but don't necessarily have a category, starting off with the first one here, which is really important. They adjusted misaligned character hitboxes for upper body and head to better match the visual models. Now, that's justification for some of the videos I put out saying that, hey, hitboxes are broken, hit registration's off. Hopefully this fixes a lot of that, though I'm sure there's still some underlying netcode issues that are causing some of those issues, but hopefully this is going in the right direction. They're going to be making some UI and HUD updates and changes for, quote, clarity and consistency. Navigating the UI is an absolute pain. I hope they can redo this or at least fix it somewhat in this update. Looking forward to seeing how that turns out. They're doing an audio overhaul, which I thought was already pretty good. The footstep sounds were great, but they're going to be adding new projectile flybys, destruction, explosion sounds. Hopefully it's more immersive, but it doesn't mute out the information we want. Fixing some of the vehicles, some of the gadgets, some of the weapons. I think there was some misaligned optics there, and obviously the dispersion changes they're doing, right, to some of the SMGs, faster firing weapons. Making some changes to the maps. I think Morocco Valley had an issue where you couldn't arm, I think it was MCON A, because the asset was just somewhere where it wasn't supposed to. So in Rush, you couldn't even arm it to finish the game. That was kind of crazy. I know Liberation Peak, part of the Attackers HQ, was marked out of bounds, so they're fixing that. In New Sobek City, if you were playing Escalation, you had issues capturing, I think, Flag C, so you couldn't go at it from certain directions, so they're fixing that, and a bunch of other changes. I know there's some single player stuff, portal stuff, and a ton of audio. Like I said before, I'll have the full patch notes linked in the description below. Make sure to check them out. I'm sure you're going to have some questions on some of the other things, and again, I'm just touching on some of the higher level stuff here that I think is really important. Now, with all that said and all of that out of the way, I want to say thank you for watching first and foremost. I'm really starting to get into these long-form videos, done a ton of shorts. Hopefully we can get some engagement here. Comment down below, what changes are you most looking forward to? Are you upset about some of the movement changes, some of the weapon changes? I want to hear from you down there in the comments. Blow it up like we always do. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say. And as always, if you found this informative, helpful, or just entertaining, please consider dropping a like. It really helps the channel. And as always, remember to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.